With President Trump down by a wide margin in the latest polls, his campaign has landed on a closing argument, spread coronavirus to as many people as possible, and threatened to leave the country if he loses. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. As of Saturday, more than 26 million people had already voted in the presidential election, breaking records everywhere from Alabama to Georgia to Texas. People lined up for hours across the country, including at some iconic sites that have been converted into polling places like Fenway Park.
The enthusiasm was high among voters casting their ballots at Fenway Park.
I wanted to vote at Fenway because we've all been cooped up inside for a little bit, and I got my donkeys, and I'm ready to vote for Joe Biden, but I wish I was voting for Bernie Sanders. But it's a team sport.
Fantastic. Even after the pandemic's over, I hope Boston holds every election at Fenway. I'd love to see the exit polling afterward. Well, Wolf, I'm a little shocked by these numbers, but apparently 58% voted for your mother. Usually the only election at Fenway are landslides in favor of Jeter sucks. And if you're wondering what that one dot is, so my uncle, who's a bigwig at Fleet, got me the bank's tickets on Saturday. So I invite Matty Snakes, and he's all, can I bring my friend? And I say, sure, because I owe him from that time. His cousin, who's a statey, helped me out with that DUI. But Matty doesn't mention his friend's a Yankee fan. Kid shows up with the hat and everything. And on top of that, when Matty asks if we want beers, the guy says, I'll take an IPA. And I'm like, IPA? How about a Bud Light? And you shut the up. That was like a little play. So tens of millions of people across the country have already lined up to vote or mailed in their ballots. Now, we don't know what that tells us about the outcome, except that it can't be great news for Trump, since he's currently trailing in national polls around 10 points, and he's running out of time to make up the gap, which might explain why he's been making a series of increasingly bizarre threats about what he'll do if he loses.
If I lose to him, I don't know what I'm going to do. I will never speak to you again.
Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know if you heard, but we can't go anywhere. And I know everyone got excited about that last part, but even if he did leave the country, I'm pretty sure he'd go somewhere that had the internet. I only want him to leave the country because he'll be so broke, he'll have to backpack through Europe with a Eurail pass and sleep in cheap hostels.
Excusez-moi, où est les... there's a McDonald's.
Also, I didn't think I could be any more motivated to vote against Trump until I heard him say if he loses, he'll never speak to us again. I would give anything to not hear Trump's voice anymore. He's everywhere, our phones, our TVs. He's even my GPS voice now.
We love to head northeast on Main Street and then turn left in 1,000 feet, don't we, folks? And you're hearing it more and more. Jug handle. It's a jug handle, folks. Don't we love our jug handles? You know what I always say? Why do they call it a jug handle? Who drinks out of jugs anymore, am I right? We don't drink out of the jugs. What I'm saying, you understand, but the fake news, they'll never report it. Oh, they love their jug handles. Crooked streets.
Why are we in the middle of a lake? Trump never shuts up, in part because he wants to make us feel he's inevitable, like he's an immutable part of our lives, that there will never be a day when we don't have to wake up 12 different psychotic news stories and say something like, Trump accuses Eiffel Tower of working with Bigfoot to give him COVID. Republicans say they haven't seen the tweet. We can't have that. We can't have a country where we don't have to listen to the most irritating man in the world every goddamn day. If Joe Biden is elected, it'll be like having your retiree dad in office. He'll talk to you for about 5 minutes a week and then say, you need any money? All right, here's your mother. So tens of millions of Americans are filling out mail ballots and pouring into polling places as we speak. And you can tell which constituencies Trump is doing especially poorly with because he's not subtle about pandering to them. For example, he's added a very pathetic refrain to his rallies, begging women who live in the suburbs to like him.
I saved your suburbs women. Suburban women. You're supposed to love Trump.
Suburban women, they should like me more than anybody here tonight. So can I ask you to do me a favor? Suburban women, will you please like me?
2 weeks left in the campaign, and he's starting to sound like late 70s Woody Allen. Suburban women don't like me very much. Once I went on a date to a strip mall, I thought... Wait, can you guys remember how good the Boston accent was? Yeah, he was supposed to show... Just go. It was good. By the way, remember... You guys remember when this wet sandwich over here wrapped up one of his speeches with please clap, and everybody on both sides of the aisle made fun of him until he disappeared forever, and yet Trump begs people to please like me, and 40% of the nation still thinks he's some kind of unstoppable warrior king. Seriously, our president is so desperate for the votes of suburban women, he's starting to sound like a divorced dad on the prowl. Suburban women, will you please like me? I don't know any restaurants in the city. Do you think suburban women were maybe, just maybe, turned off a smidge by the affair you had with the porn star? You should try polling that one at Ann Taylor.
Now, before you answer, my wife had just given birth, and Stormy was a 10.
And then there are seniors, a group Trump won handily in 2016 that he's now struggling with in key states like Florida. Last week, Trump held an indoor event with seniors in Florida where he touted a last-minute and likely illegal scheme to send cash cards for prescription drugs to every senior before the election.
I'm honored to be here in Fort Myers to reaffirm my solemn pledge to America's seniors. It's so important to me. I happen to be a senior. I will protect you, I will defend you, and I will fight for you with every ounce of energy and conviction that I have.
He can't even say the words energy and conviction with energy and conviction. He sounds like a pastor reading rap lyrics at an obscenity hearing. Face down, ass up. That's the way we like to F. Whenever he reads off a script, he sounds like his COVID meds just kicked in.
They gave me an experimental cocktail of Regeneron mixed with NyQuil, Valium, and Lunesta. Let's have a hand for Lunesta Moth, folks. A true patriot. Suburban women love him.
Also, you don't have to say, I happen to be a senior. We know you're a senior from, everything about you. Your tweets are like email forwards. Your preferred method of transportation is golf cart. And you grip that podium the way my grandma grips the steering wheel. You look like you're going 5 miles an hour in the passing lane. But hey, at least you dance like a young person.
I call this move roach caught in a glue trap.
But no, I thought maybe if I snuck up on it, I thought if I didn't think about it, just jump. But no amount of pathetic pandering is going to magically turn Trump's numbers around, mainly because we're now heading into a third wave of the coronavirus pandemic, which scientists are warning could be the worst yet, and Trump is doing nothing. He's letting a deadly virus rip through the country unabated. Worse, he seems like he's doing everything he can to spread the disease after appearing to catch it himself at a White House super spreader event, and even acting like it was a good thing, calling it a blessing from God, suggesting he's immune now and that he feels powerful like Superman, when, if anything, he has the grammar and syntax of Bizarro.
Women suburban like no Bizarro.
That one was for all the seniors watching this on Tuesday morning on their iPhone 6. For example, at that same Florida event, as hundreds of Americans die every day and 10 states recorded record high COVID cases, Trump once again told seniors that the virus was on the verge of disappearing.
The light at the end of the tunnel is near. We are rounding the turn. I say that all the time. Some of the media doesn't like hearing it, but I say it all the time. We're rounding that turn.
You've been saying that for months. If you're always rounding the turn, then you're actually just going in circles, which is something Trump has experience with since he spends a good chunk of his time mindlessly wandering around the White House lawn like he's looking for a Frisbee in a neighbor's yard.
Mind if I look for my disc? Me and some buddies were playing froth and I accidentally let one rip.
Trump keeps going from state to state, holding super spreader rallies where people are tightly packed in without masks or social distancing, even in states experiencing surges in hospitalizations and caseloads like Wisconsin. He keeps spreading lies about masks, and his events have repeatedly been linked to outbreaks from Tulsa to Minnesota. Just today, he once again attacked the nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, calling him a disaster. At this point, it's impossible to conclude anything other than the fact that Trump and his allies are actively trying to get people sick. What more could he be doing at this point? Letting people crowd surf at his rallies? Check. And then chucking hats you touched into the crowd right before testing positive for COVID? Check. Soon he's going to travel with a mascot named COVID Larry. He'll hand out kisses to whoever cheers the loudest. That's the story most voters are laser focused on. The president and his party are actively getting people sick. Trump and the GOP clearly do not care how many Americans die from this disease. They're more upset about Facebook and Twitter not letting them spread obvious bullshit about a New York Post story. Even the Post's own reporters didn't want to put their names on. The out-of-control pandemic that is once again spiking across the country and the economic misery that comes with it are the stories that matter most. And Trump and the GOP can't just talk them away no matter how hard they try. That's why they're unraveling, inciting violence against their opponents and spinning wild conspiracy theories. So over the last few days, Trump has repeatedly called for Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, to be thrown in jail even after a right-wing terrorist plot to kidnap Whitmer was uncovered. And this weekend, two of his most obsequious toadies floated a psychotic and vile charge against Hunter Biden.
There is further analysis of the subpoena's handwriting, and it suggests that the subpoena was served by an FBI agent his name is Joshua Wilson, and over the last 5 years, he has been working on child pornography issues. Connect the dots. If an FBI agent is working on child pornography issues for 5 years, why is he subpoenaing the laptop of Hunter Biden? Is there a connection here? Should this suggest that there's a child pornography issue here on that laptop?
Well, I think you just made the connection. Again, this is what the FBI, I think, has to come clean about.
So was the FBI agent who served the subpoena investigating child pornography, Senator?
Well, you just read the news report. I can't comment any further.
These rotten, soulless husks are just doing Pizzagate all over again, and they didn't even add any new details. They just did a search and replace with Hunter Biden in for Hillary Clinton. I mean, at least punch it up a little bit. Come on, it's season 4. Add an evil twin or a talking cat. And, you know, everyone's focused on Wisconsin cheese turd Ron Johnson here, and rightly so, but let's not forget Maria Bartiromo, who is also a true crazy person, and you can just tell from the way she talks. She's got that vibe of an aunt who spends all her time reading about alien autopsies on internet message boards. They're hiding the bodies at Fort Knox. I'd say Fox should fire Bartiromo for spreading such a baseless and grotesque claim, but then Fox would still hire the replacement, so it's not like it would be better. Like how it's a good idea for the Jets to get a new QB until you remember the Jets would be in charge of picking the new QB. Oh, we like this kid. Strong arm, good speed. Gets skittish when he hears loud noises, so don't boo, you guys, please. If you boo, it's bad. The reason they're trying to slime the Bidens is because they can't actually talk about Trump's horrendous record. And now, with 2 weeks until the election, as millions of people line up to vote early and Biden widens his lead in national polls, the president has been as erratic as ever. He's concocting a harebrained scheme with his Italian Dracula lawyer to spread disinformation about the Biden family, calling for political opponents to be thrown in jail, inciting violence against the governor of Michigan, laying the groundwork for a sequel to Bush v. Gore, begging suburban women to like him, threatening to leave the country if he loses, suggesting on Twitter that Biden had the members of SEAL Team 6 murdered after failing to kill Osama bin Laden, who is, according to this theory, still alive, and claiming the military has some sort of secret aquatic weapon.
Everybody is envious. We have the hypersonic missiles that you used to hear about. We didn't have them because other countries were stealing our plans from the Obama administration. But we now have hypersonic missiles.
Are you sure you don't mean hypersonic? Not hydrosonic? Are you confusing the U.S. military with Aquaman?
We have hydrosonic missiles, folks. They can talk to dolphins, fish. That's how we recruited the Navy SEALs.
We're watching a deeply dangerous man, supported by a deeply dangerous party, unravel at the prospect of losing power. They don't seem to care who they hurt or who gets sick in the process, but it's in our power to stop him by voting to repudiate him in overwhelming numbers. And if we succeed, this time next year, he'll be going from country to country asking people,
Will you please like me?
This has been A Closer Look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. We love you.